Greetings, pirates, marines, and everything in between. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, back with another One Piece chapter review. This time, I'm talking about chapter 926, titled Prisoner's Mine. So you can already tell what the main selling point of this chapter is going to be. However, we do open up with a lot going on in the main capital of Wano, where we see a news report about someone known as the man-slaying sickle wandering the streets and murdering a variety of people. Now, whether or not this is some heroic figure taking out criminals or someone who is just a murderer in general, we do not know. But he very much bears the appearance of one of the other people aside from Ashura Doji that Kinemon had stated should be an ally of theirs in the coming fight against Kaido and Orochi. We also see a variety of people with the crescent moon tattoo on their ankle being handed the reverse crescent moon little pamphlet from not just Usopp, but Usopp, Sachi, Penguin, and Beppo, who are all in disguise, giving it to the variety of allies to the Kozuki clan. We even have statements from a variety of these people, these samurais in alliance with the Kozuki clan, and their various emotions towards it. Some feeling that they are too old to continue the fight, and others getting fired up, ready to throw down. We even get a statement in the fact that a lot of forms of martial arts and as well as swords have been taken away from the populace in order to avoid any kind of uprising. On top of that, we see both Nami as well as Shinobu observing a deal going down between two men in regards to the shipment of the various weaponry that's being produced in terms of Wano country itself. I love this moment because they end up getting kind of found out because Nami's spying with a spyglass in order to read the information on the document they have, and it ends up being found out by one of the dudes, and one of them just takes out this halberd or whatever and just starts stabbing up at the ceiling because they're spying from there. Nami's pretty good about keeping things on the down low because for years she was a thief, so stealth and quiet infiltration has always kind of been her thing. However, Shinobu, on the other hand, we come to find out has a fear of sharp objects, and she starts freaking out as the dude starts stabbing into the ceiling trying to get them. And Nami's able to kind of play it off like she's a cat by making meow sounds and stuff like that, but Shinobu's just freaking out. So they end up having to escape using Shinobu's ninja art Big Kite, which is just like one of those kite things that ninjas hold on to fly away with the wind and all that. So they are able to escape, having gotten the information that they needed. We also see that Sanji's mission of attracting various people using his cooking is going well, the only downside being that he's mostly attracting women and no real samurai. So it's a double-edged sword there, but at the very least he hopefully is gaining some money for the cause. We then pick up with the main event of this chapter, which is in the prison mine, where we have the various prisoners and enemies of Kaido and Orochi toiling away, gaining a meager pittance of few mochi depending on how many blocks of iron or whatever they're able to actually move. And this old man is just getting abused and harassed because he's only able to do so much. But we then pick up with our big earners in terms of the mine, namely Luffy and Kid, who show an immense amount of strength despite the fact that they have Sea Prism Stone handcuffs on. and they're still able to move these giant blocks like it's nothing, and they just start running back and forth, earning a whole bunch of meal tickets for all this mochi. And people notice, just like, man, if that's how it's like when they have the actual Sea Prism Stone handcuffs on, just think how it would be if they didn't. So I think this is acting kind of as a form of training in order to both, bulk up both Kid and Luffy, gain some strength for them. So they get a whole bunch of mochi, pretty much basically the whole mochi in the complex for all the people there. And, they're devouring it. It's turning out to be a pretty good situation for the two of them because, they're, competing with each other. Eustace and Luffy, they're competing, keeping each other's energy up, really going at it. And, I gotta, give it props to Kid because of the fact that he's doing a lot of this stuff one-handed because his mechanical arm is gone. So I do believe we're actually seeing Queen tinkering with it in the last chapter. So that might actually be the case there. But, they're going at it. There's this friendly rivalry going back and forth because they're arguing over who took the most blocks, back and forth and all this. So it's just showing this nice little rivalry they have going. Whereas Luffy and Law's relationship was one of, well, just kind of just like, oh, this guy, oh my god, I can't believe I'm following him. It's more like with Luffy and Kid, it's so much more like, man, I'm so much better than you. I can do this, this, and this. No, I'm better. I can do this, this, and this, and blah, 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 and this and that. To the point where the Warden ends up going out, Dobon, who has the Hippo Smile fruit, which is a very unfortunate fruit, as, his lower half is the lower jaw of a hippo, basically a hippo head, and it encases his entire being. He's more or less the tongue of this giant hippo head. So, and he's barking out. It's just like, who took all the mochi? Who stole all the food from the storehouse? What's going on? And in Men Informant, it's just like, well, they earned it fair and square because they did the work. And we also see that when the hippo closes his mouth, nobody can actually hear Dobon. But he calls out for Luffy and Kid, bring them out. These guys are stuffed full, they're all ballooned up, but they're just like, hey, give us a second, we'll digest this. And they actually start doing that right on the spot, just digesting the food. I think Luffy actually does it a little bit faster than Kid, but it's just hilarious because it's just like, what? Your bodies don't work like that. And the dude's just like, no, you guys need to be punished. You ate all the food, and I'm a glutton myself, so you only left me with 3 measly dango, and blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, you can't talk back to us or anything, because first we'll punish you by cutting off your arms, then we'll cut off your legs, and then after that we'll kill you if you keep acting up. And all the while this is going on, of all people, we see Caribou, the dude with the swamp fruit, who was captured by I think it was X-Drake who had captured him, or Scotch, I don't quite remember, but I know he was captured by Kaido's forces after his little miniature adventure when he escaped from Jinbei and all this good stuff, So Caribou is in fact in the prison as well. Who knows if he'll end up playing a part further down the line. It's so weird just to see him off to the side there, because it's just like, it's been so long since we've seen him, and there he is, just hanging out in the prison. And the figure we saw from before that I mistakenly thought was Kid, who had been fed all the poisonous fish in order to keep him docile, and they'll just remove the bones because we don't want them, spitting them out and using them as weapons, as one unfortunate guard ended up finding out. And so, moving on, Luffy and Kid, the warden wants to punish them and basically take them in and, take them out more or less. So he gobbles them up into the hippo's mouth. The rest of the guards are just like, that's Lord Doban's slaughter room. They'll never make it out alive. Only for them to have just completely beaten the ever-living hell out of Doban in the hippo's mouth as he passes out. And they're just like, oh no, Vice Chief Jailer Doban, what happened? You guys are gonna pay for this. You're gonna get executed. Only for a Kid to just be like, where's your proof? You didn't see it happen, did you? So all the prisoners start cheering. It's just like, yeah, there you go, guys. Yeah, you're amazing. And we also had this kind of side moment because, the old man from before who was trying to get, his measly pittance was being stepped on by the warden, the vice chief jailer, and Luffy had noticed it, so he took the opportunity to save the old man as well. So they're fast on top of being strong, even with the Sea Prism Stone handcuffs being on them. So it just shows that these guys, despite everything, have an indomitable will. Not only that, it's just like this place is really nothing in comparison to Impel Down, which just goes to show you how big of a prison Impel Down was. With the various levels and how much more torturous and terrible they got. Like, Impel Down is just like nothing can compare to Impel Down because that place was just so ruthless and insane. It's just like you take one false step and you're dead there. Here it's just like, yeah, whatever, we've seen worse. Like, you don't have people being crucified and stabbed or boiled alive or frozen to death, or Luffy's just like, I've seen worse. Like, because he's literally has. Like, that's no joke. It's like Luffy has straight up seen worse, and he's laughed in the face of seeing worse. So it's just like, for these guys, it's like, whatever. But all in all, this was a good chapter. We see that the Allied forces are moving forward with their plans, getting intel and information where they can, and the various samurai who are gathering under the Kazuki clan and all that good stuff. Not to mention, I loved seeing Luffy and Kid interact. I've been waiting so long for this, especially after we got the fun and hilarious moments of Luffy and Law. Those two just make such an interesting pairing that I was just like, man, we gotta get Kid in on this. Because when we first saw them in that event in the Shibodi Archipelago, where you had Luffy, Law, and Kid all allied together, taking on the various marine forces, competing with each other, just being like, I got more, I got more, I got more, and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it was such an interesting grouping of those three. And, it was so obvious that it was Oda just setting up that these three people would become like really prominent forces in terms of the pirate era and in terms of overall the worst generation. They would be like the major forerunners in terms of the worst generation. And we're seeing that here. It's just like, I'm just wondering where the rest of Kid's people are. Like, are they in Wano also coming to save him? Are they going to end up meeting up with them later? And, with Kid's disposition and the fact that he's a fairly violent person, will Luffy actually really even ally with Kid the same way he did with Law? But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. How did you feel about this chapter? What did you think about the setup for the, revolt against Kaido and Orochi? Were you interested in the fact that, because so much happened in this chapter, really? Like, the first 10 or so pages of this chapter was just like, set up, and then it's just like, Luffy and Kid, Luffy and Kid, Luffy and Kid, which is just like, it feels like that should have taken up so much more, but it's just like, it's just like within the span of less than 20 pages, we had so much just right there. And I love this. It's like, what did you think about Luffy and Kid's interactions? How similar yet different they both are. How they have this kind of competitive nature for each other. And do you want to see more of these two kind of just hanging out and getting along, much like Luffy and Law? Do you want to see that kind of a relationship form between them, or do you think it should be more like Luffy in regards to maybe someone like Buggy, where they just ally from time to time and then they go for a while without seeing each other? Because it's just like, I waited for Kid for so long to come back. I knew he'd be a major player further down the line, and I don't want to see him go away for a good long while. But then again, Wano's only just getting started, so who knows what else might happen further down the line. So I'll leave it there. If you liked what I had to say in this chapter review, leave me a like. If you didn't like what I had to say, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I'm doing wrong in the comment section below. And feel free to subscribe for more chapter reviews of One Piece, because the plan to take down Kaido is finally fully getting underway. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.